Dave Trabert with the Kansas Policy Institute is here on KCMO Talk Radio. After they wrote in the Sentinel, you can find it at sentinelksmo.org, that Johnson County and Overland Park are planning big tax increases as they sit on millions of dollars in reserves. Dave, good morning. Let's start with Johnson County, countywide. What is the preparations there financially?
Well, good morning, Pete. Thanks for having me. Johnson County is planning about a 6% property tax increase. Allegedly, that would be because they have to do it, but they're choosing to do that while they're holding on to $500 million in cash.
$500 million in cash. So they want to take in 6% more in property taxes. That's basically double the rate of inflation. It's not like they can use the inflation excuse anymore. I mean, inflation is still a little too high for my liking at nearly 3%, but they're going to take in double the inflation rate on property tax increases. How can they possibly justify this?
Well, they don't. Justification is easy. Anybody can justify or rationalize something they want to do, whether it's legitimate or not. That's a matter of another opinion. But basically, they try to figure out, this is the way it works in a lot of local governments. They look at the valuation increase, they see how much they're going to get from that, and then they look at what can they legitimately get away with on the change in the mill rate. If they hold it flat, then they're going to capture all the valuation increase. And those have been pretty high. If they want to be able to say, we reduced our mill rate, they'll shave a tiny, tiny bit, but all the while knowing they're going to still get a big tax increase from the valuation. So it's how much can we get is the focus, not do we need it. Mm-hmm. I mean, you've got these hundreds of millions, and I think Johnson County has almost 50% of its general fund budget in the bank already. That's ridiculous. Everybody needs reserves, but it's crazy to hold those kind of levels, and these reserves represent taxes that were collected in prior years but weren't spent. So spend some of it now rather than take more from people.
It's unbelievable. Now, Overland Park, how bad is it over there?
Not quite as bad, but they still have a lot of money. Overland Park says it's going to have $158 million on hand at the end of this year, but they still want a $5 million property tax increase.
Wow.
And see what happens. What should happen is that the elected officials should tell the staff, we want to see a budget that does not raise taxes and does not cut a service unless you tell us you don't think the service is needed anymore. Because what happens here is, well, if you want us to not raise a tax, then what service do you want cut? That's the ransom game. You don't let them play that. You make them come back with, there's always ways to do it. Sometimes it's as simple as we'll just spend a little bit of the excess money we have in the bank. Governments never look at how money was spent, whether it was efficient or effective. They think they do. This happens in private business too. Without direction, staff will always think that, and they're working hard. They're not bad people. They're just doing what they've always done. You have to push and prod and help. So let's look at what our priority is. How do we get this done without raising a tax? There's always options, and it never should include essential service cuts. That's just trying to scare people into a tax increase.
What would you like to see ideally? Is it leadership? Is it Mayor Skoog in Overland Park? Is it Mike Kelly in Johnson County putting their foot down? Is it the county commission as a whole and the city council in Overland Park? What in a perfect world, Dave, needs to happen to just get these expenditures somewhat under control to the point where they won't continue to hose the taxpayer and the property owner?
You need the majority of, yes, it would be great if the mayor or the chair of the county commission would act in taxpayers' best interests. In those two cases, it's probably never going to happen. But you need the majority to stand up and say, We're listening to our constituents. Now, if the voters are telling them, really go out and find out what voters want. If they're saying raise our tax and spend it on this, then they should do it. But if you go out and ask the public what they want, they'll say, "Don't raise my taxes." The majority will, and so that's your job. You weren't elected to represent yourself or your staff. You're elected to represent people, and you have to understand what the people are telling you. And the majority in no city is out there saying, "Raise my property tax."
And look at this. I know you guys wrote about this, just to not single out Overland Park. Other cities with large tax hikes, Bonner Springs, DeSoto, Edgerton, Fairway, Gardner, Mission Hills, Olathe, Westwood. They're all seeing fairly substantially proposed, I guess you would call them, proposed tax hikes, right? Is there a common theme with any of those?
Well, again, it's probably, they haven't published all the valuation changes by jurisdiction, but it's probably a matter of the valuations are high, the increases, and so they're going to capture most of that. And the rate is going to vary, maybe based on the valuation change and what they've proposed to do with their mill rate. The one in Westwood really jumped out, a 33% increase in the city of Westwood. You have to wonder, is that a retaliation for voters saying, "No, you may not sell our park"?
That's a good point. It's a very good point. And on top of that, I know that, and I'm going to share this on our KCMO Talk Radio social media pages, but you've got the hearing dates for each of these municipalities as to when they'll allow public comment on their proposed property tax increases, right? So I'm going to share that here because this is good information.
Thanks.
All right. Let me ask you this then, Dave Trabert, as well. I know this school issue has been a big one for you, and this one is on the Missouri side, but it applies to Kansas. It's frankly a problem all over the country. Research is showing that just 1 in 4 Kansas City third grade students can read at grade level. You talk about it on the Kansas side. We now have this report from KCTV5 on the Missouri side. This is a crisis, Dave, and we're seeing it seems like, across socioeconomic levels and across the state line. What's going on?
Well, there's several things, but one of the main focuses is that the administrators, the adults in charge, this isn't a teacher problem, the adults in charge want kids to do better, but not if it means they have to change their behaviors. They don't want to do that. We've seen it time and time again. And that's not just in K-12. That's at the college level too. We know of one elementary school where we've been, where all but one teacher said they didn't think they knew how to teach kids how to read because they weren't trained how to do that in college. You have some universities that do a really good job of teacher prep according to the National Council on Teacher Quality. But you also have a fair number of them that do, as they would say, probably a pretty lousy job. And it's in every state. And that comes down to the university colleges of education saying, "No, we're going to do it our way." There's only one proven way to teach kids how to read. It's the science of reading. Phonics is one of 5 elements in the science of reading. And we have some that do a decent job in Kansas. We have some schools that get Fs. We have 2 schools, Kansas State and Emporia, won't even show their syllabi so that there can be a rating on their teacher prep. Now, it was public for math, and they both got Fs. So chances are the rating programs are not that great. We don't know, but we know that people are coming out of college not prepared. And you start looking at the focus. You have people pushing, whether it's indoctrination or all these other things. Shawnee Mission had parents raise money to put reading specialists in schools, and then the board decided, well, it's not fair to do that in this school if we can't afford to do it in all schools, so no kids get those extra reading specialists. Now, the sad thing is, again, Shawnee Mission is one of those entities that's sitting on a mountain of cash reserves. They could easily afford that if they wanted to. There's so many different ways they could afford to do what they want, but budgets aren't built from the classroom out.
Yeah. Yep, you nailed it, man. It's concerning. Dave Trabert, Kansas Policy Institute. Always good job. Thanks for being here, my friend.
Thanks for having me, Pete.
All right, there you go. Well done. Dave Trabert on KCMO Talk Radio.